I want you to think to yourself, what is the worst room in your house to record vocals, to record guitars? If you're like me, it's probably the bathroom or a garage. Well, in today's video, I want to use this reflection filter to see what can be possible if you had to record in some of the worst rooms imaginable. Back about 10 years ago, my wife and I were in apartment living. And if you're in an apartment, a lot of times the landlord, they have rules about what you can hang on the walls. They're okay with you hanging pictures, but any of that acoustic foam or especially panels like these that we have in the room now, these would not be allowed. So our solution back in the day was to get this halo reflection filter. I've talked about this on my channel before. It sits on top of a microphone stand, and what makes it a little bit different than the others is it's really kind of this orb shape that wraps around the microphone. Today's video, what I've done, I've gone to the worst recording spaces that are in our home, namely the bathroom and our two-car garage. These places are not acoustically treated at all, but I want to compare them to this room here. So if you're in a spot where you're in an apartment or you can't invest in getting really good acoustic treatment or even building it yourself, what can you do? The good thing about this reflection filter is that obviously you don't have to hang it up on the walls. And what's really cool is you can put this in your car, take it with you anywhere you want to record. But does it really make a difference? So I've got some audio recordings of each of the rooms. What I've done is I've set up the microphone with the halo reflection filter and then also without the reflection filter. I play a song on the guitar and I sing. I try to be as consistent as possible, but we're gonna take a dive today into the audio files to see what it actually sounds like. If this stuff is interesting to you, any sort of music production or recording type stuff, I wanna encourage you to hit the like and subscribe button. With that being said, let's get started with today's video. So the first place I want to record, I would call the control. Okay, so anytime you're doing some sort of scientific experiment, you want to have a control. This is my music room. This is essentially an extra bedroom. The length is about 11 feet. I think it's 11 by 16 or 16 by 11. I've got acoustic panels. You can see a video on my channel of going through and hanging these acoustic panels to try to get the most out of this room as possible. I would say that this room is acoustically treated. I could probably use something like a cloud on the ceiling, but for all intents and purposes, for what I use it for, I think it's a pretty good situation. So let's take a listen to what it sounds like in this room without the halo reflection filter at all. The things to note on this video is that the mic stand I'm using, I tried to keep it at the exact same height so that even when I'm not using the reflection filter, even when I'm recording vocals or when I'm recording guitar, the microphone is in the same position. This wouldn't be ideal if I were just recording a song. I would want to move the microphone around so I could get a good sound, but I want to stay consistent. So whether I'm recording acoustic or vocals, the microphone remains in the same spot as much as possible. Let's take a listen. All right, here is my music room with no reflection filter at all.
Thou my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
Now here's my music room with the halo reflection filter.
Thou my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
Now I'm gonna solo the vocal and jump back and forth between without the reflection filter, and then we'll go with the reflection filter.
Thou my best thought, thou my best thought, by day or by night, by day or by night.
So the good news is I'm definitely hearing a difference between with the halo reflection filter and without the reflection filter. The name implies exactly what it does. I'm hearing less reflections in the room. Now, it's not an extreme situation. So if you have an acoustically treated room, just like this, you may want to get a reflection filter or you may not, because the differences are very subtle. All of the tracks have been normalized, and then I've brought the levels down so that the vocal is about -3, the guitars are about -6, just a little bit of balancing. The next room is our daughter's bathroom. Of course, a place that I wouldn't ever want to record. It's got a shower, a lot of reflective surfaces, and a giant shower curtain of the Disney princesses. But here is the bathroom, nevertheless, without any reflection filter at all.
Thou my best thought, by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
And here's the bathroom with the reflection filter.
Thou my best thought, by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
Now I'm going to jump back and forth. Here's the vocal without the reflection filter.
Thou my best thought, by day or by night.
Here's it with the reflection filter.
Thou my best thought, by day or by night.
After the word thought, this is really nitpicky, but listen to the room sound after the word thought. You can hear that reflection a little bit better there. So let's zoom into that. Without the reflection filter.
My best thought, by day.
With.
Best thought, by day or by night.
Again, it is so subtle just in between the two. I am pleased also with the sound of this. This is a Neumann TLM 103. It's a large diaphragm condenser microphone. It is going to be nicer than some of the other affordable microphones out there. The NT2A that I have, I imagine it would pick up more of the room sound, and it all has to do with the cardioid pattern or how much the microphone is picking up. The Neumann tends to be a little bit tighter, so that's a good thing. But I am using the same microphone on all of the tracks, and again, we're not mixing any of this just yet. Now the last place that, again, this one surprised me the most is the garage. So let's take a listen to our 2-car garage without the halo reflection filter.
Thou my best thought, by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
And here's the garage with the reflection filter.
Thou my best thought, by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
Here's just the vocal without the reflection filter.
Thou my best thought, by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
And here's with the reflection filter.
Thou my best thought, by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
Now, of course, I definitely prefer the reflection filter because I'm getting a drier, more direct sound. And when it comes to mixing, if you know how to add reverb plugins, you can always add reverb in the sound of ambience to a track, but you can't always take away the sound of ambience without it sounding very unnatural. So I like the control that the reflection filter gives me. Another thing I just want to throw out there is that even if you're in a 2-car garage, you can still get a really great sounding recording, because I certainly don't think that the garage tracks are totally unusable. If you had to mix these tracks, you would be just fine. So that says a lot about, one, the microphone, and then also just maybe there's a lot of psychology that goes into thinking that because we're in a garage or we're in an ambient space, we get into a headspace that says, oh, this room is just completely unusable. These recordings are going to be terrible. When in fact, you might actually really like the sound of that. I think the garage has a really cool reverb to it. You can hear there's like a pre-delay, especially with the reflection filter. You're not hearing as direct of the reverb immediately after the voice. It's almost like there's a delay, like I was saying, before you hear the garage getting excited. There's also a proximity effect that happens with this reflection filter. So it seems like there's a little bit of a bump in the low end. It's no different than if you took your hand right now and put it in front of your face, you would get a lot more of that proximity of your voice. You would hear a lot more low end because it's bouncing off of your hand back into your ears. So anytime we're putting something around the microphone, it's going to give us more of a slap back, and that can cause that buildup of the low end. So if things sound a little bit girthier, that's probably to do with the reflection filter being on there. And if you're somebody that wants a more natural ambient sound, well then of course maybe you don't need to get the halo reflection filter. The last little bit I wanted you to hear was in the garage, I did some speaking. So just how I'm speaking to you now, you're hearing the lapel mic under my shirt. I wanted to speak into the microphone so you could hear just what the room was sounding like. So here is the garage vocal talking without the reflection filter.
Hey, this is Chris Green. Test 1, 2. Hit the like and subscribe buttons. Testing in the garage.
And here's it with the reflection filter.
Hey, this is Chris Green in the garage. Hit the like and subscribe buttons. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
Let me bounce between the two. So this is without and then with.
Hey, this is Chris Green. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
That last little bit, it also has to do with how far away you are from the microphone. So a couple of tips. So my parting words for you, if you are in a situation where you can't hang things up on the wall, but you need to have a little bit more of a direct sound, well then of course check out something like a reflection filter. This one is from Aston. It's the Halo Reflection Filter. SE Electronics makes one that's a little bit more like a fan shape. It doesn't really cover the top and bottom, but that can be effective as well. I think it's a little bit more affordable. But if you are in a situation where you have like a garage or a bathroom, try to do some recording in those spaces, because you may be surprised. If you go into it with the mindset that it's going to sound bad, it probably will sound bad. But doing things like being closer to the microphone, putting out less volume is going to affect the acoustics in the room. And you may find that you actually like the sound of it. If I wanted to record vocals and I want to have some reverb, I could go to the garage and record vocals. It's not going to ruin anything. If you have a really good microphone and you are careful about where you're placing the microphone, the distance you are from the microphone, and how much volume you're putting out, you can actually get some really good recordings. So that's all for today's video on the Halo Reflection Filter. I hope a few of these things jumped out to you, maybe to give you some ideas of ways that you can impact your recordings in your acoustically driven spaces. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you next time. Bye.